What's up, everybody? We're back with another Extra Trashy. I know it's been a long time. My bad. iDom's been begging me to get back on the podcast every single day, messaging me nonstop saying, Brian, when are you going to let me get back on the podcast? Because, word on the street was people were saying that this was your show, iDom. I'm confused. I thought it was mine.
You know, everyone always comes up to me telling me to, thankfully letting Brian on the podcast because I gotta let him be my co-host. So, gracefully, I decided we had to start this back up again. And, I'm here for the Bellatra talk too. That's the main thing.
That might be above our pay grade right now. I don't know. I haven't nanned if enough yet for me to start doing Bellatra podcast, but we're on our way. We're getting there. Listen, we're going to the moon with the score here. But I figured this was a great time to get it started up again. I do have more full-fledged trash talks planned in the future, but today we're doing another Extra Trashy because there's a lot going on in the world of esports and Street Fighter coming up. This is being recorded right before the Season 3 balance patch for Street Fighter 6 allegedly drops. I mean, have they even... I guess they mentioned a little bit, maybe there was an announcement before about Season 3 actually having balance changes. But obviously the focus is the Elena release and the Switch 2 release coming out, years 1 and 2 edition, and a whole bunch of, I guess, nice quality of life changes for features that I don't care about at all, while they're ignoring costumes and talking about any actual balance changes. But that will be releasing very soon. We just had Combo Breaker wrapping up, so we're 2 events into the CPT season. And with that, we'll do a recap of Combo Breaker, talk about Elena a little bit, and our hopes and wishes for Season 3, which I normally don't like to get into. I'm not much for speculating, but for the one time, I think we got to get into it. So with that said, Combo Breaker 2025 just wrapped up. My first event in a while. Combo Breaker is always an amazing event. I think it's the best bang for your buck if you're able to get to any tournament throughout the year. If you want to play 24/7 venue, really easy to get to location from the O'Hare Airport in Chicago. Great vibes, and officially part of the CPT tour now with points on the line. So the competition, I mean, it took me back to like 2017, 2019 full-fledged international CPT. There were killers galore in this bracket, and iDom, you had to take out a few of those yourself.
Yeah, it definitely felt like the old times, the old Street Fighter 5 times where everyone was just kind of going there to try to, prove they're the best. There are a lot of killers that drowned. Some of your favorite players, Daigo, didn't get that far.
Oh, wow.
in the tournament. And
whoa, why are you going so hard after Daigo, man? You already got a bad reputation with that. You can't be going after the GOAT.
I'm just saying, I'm just talking about the results I see. And I mean, I know I didn't get as far, but, I still place higher than Daigo. But, it brought me back old good times. Felt like Combo Breaker 2019 again.
What happened to Daigo? I know he got to round 2. Who got him? Because there were definitely some major upsets. It's not just Daigo who got to give him some credit. I'll cover a few of those. What happened to Daigo specifically?
Daigo lost to... I don't remember, actually.
Oh, Samurai got Daigo? Let's go Samurai. I didn't realize that. Am I tripping?
I'm not sure. Yeah, Samurai did beat Daigo, so that one I actually do remember. And I don't know who got him in losers. Samurai versus Daigo is actually on stream, but I think it was during the time I was playing my second round matches as well. So I think I was playing Thunder the longest at the time. But I just looked up and I saw Samurai had taken out Daigo. Right,
yeah. So Daigo lost to Samurai and Yanai a couple rounds later in losers bracket. I mean, 2 heavy hitters. Shout outs to Samurai. That's a big win for him. But Yanai has also been cooking a lot. So at this level, you can't really fault people. Like, I think the metric of how did you place kind of falls flat at events at this scale, because really, like, running into Yanai and losers in round 2 pools, that's a coin flip at that point. Like, that dude has placed so high in all the CPT, all the Japan CPT events and the Japan World Warrior events. He's like made the top 8 for the regional finals before. It's just like, yeah, one of them's gonna lose, and they're both godlike players, and you see that at scale at events like Combo Breaker. You had a good run though. Like you mentioned, I saw you 3 times in a row. You should have lost, and somehow you're winning. You mentioned Thunder. You should have lost that set. I was watching you play off stream, and then you do a Hail Mary wake up level 3. I believe this is the Thunder set. You did a couple Hail Mary level 3s and DIs. I believe Thunder you got with one of those, and then you made a scramble at the end on both of you had a pixel, and you got the win. Am I remembering correctly?
Yeah, that was kind of a lot of my matches, but that's how the game works. Wake up level 3 hits, you might just win the game. So there was a lot of matches that could have went either way, but that's kind of like Street Fighter 6. Like, as soon as somebody, if you know what you're doing, and like one micro decision is win or lose in this game. So the micro decision went my way.
I'm trying to hype you up here, man. You took out Thunder in a clutch comeback. Then you did the same to Moke right after off stream against his Mai. Moke's godlike. You beat Moke, and you did it with the DI from a distance, where it's like the wall isn't quite visible, but you still let the DI rip, and they weren't ready for it. You made the clutch comeback in that set as well. Then you go up against Momochi on stream, and you definitely should have lost that one again. And then you hit the iDom wake up 2-frame. It took me straight back to 2019. You wake up with a light kick, and he mistimes the meaty when you were gonna pretty much guaranteed lose, make the full combo comeback, and then win with the DI again. Those were some good wins, man.
The me versus Momochi set, I will say, that brought me back a bit. That was like a good set by me, and it kind of brought me back to the good old days. But after beating Momochi is always kind of felt good this time, because I never was able to beat him in Street Fighter 5, but for some reason got him in 6. So
interesting. I didn't know that you never got him in Street Fighter 5. I would assume the opposite. That was kind of you were kind of cooking in that era. But Momochi is kind of like an unsung god at Street Fighter 5. Also, he has some big titles. He was kind of a sleeper killer in that game. I feel like he didn't pop off as much as he did in early 6 or Street Fighter 4. But yeah, big win for you there. But other big wins happening, upsets I want to talk about are the Honda players, man. What the hell happened? So we have 2 Honda players who popped off this weekend. Harms, who's actually part of the CPT Midwest, so he's in my CPT region. He took out Akira, who just recently got, 3rd place at Evo Japan. He beat him in round 2 pools, and then beat Shine right after, before dropping to Higuchi into losers. And then also there was a jolly fellow named Baron Bolo, and I had an interesting experience with this. Day one, I'm at the casual sessions, and I'm talking to a bunch of people, meeting a bunch of people, playing some games, small talking with everybody. And I remember day 2, one of the guys I was chatting with comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey man, how are your pools going?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm about to play. I got a late pool. How about you?" And he's like, "Oh man, it's going pretty good. I just beat Chris Wong and Hikaru back to back." And I'm like, "What?" Because the majority of the people I'm small talking with, I'm meeting them for the first time. They're not usually tournaments, like international level caliber players, or they're out here for the experience. Turns out the dude I was talking to was Baron Bolo yesterday. Super nice guy, and he popped off. He beat a ton of top level players, beating Chris Wong, Hikaru, and I believe there was another one on his path. And these are, of course, the Honda players doing work in this bracket. So I rag on Honda. I think he's kind of a whack character, but he can actually do some work. Until they ran into Jack, who also. Our son here from the Midwest, he took out Baron Bolo and Harms on his path to top 8. So Jack went on a super good run. But into the top 8, though, we're starting to see the shape of the potential qualifiers from this season, even though it's before the patch. Leshar with the win. Long time coming, right? I just feel like that was a matter of time, right?
Leshar is so good. Like, Leshar is like a lot of the players in New York's favorite player. Like, they can't stop raving about Leshar. So it's a long time coming. I know a lot of fans here. They'll cheer Leshar over me. But
dang.
But Leshar's so good. I do enjoy watching Leshar play. Ed, not Mai. Mai's kind of boring.
Yeah, I do. I feel like the Mai hate has really been ramping up. I do think she's monotonous as well. What I hate Mai for is trying to take my Ed goats from me. I don't play Ed anymore, but I want to see Momochi play Ed, and I want to see Leshar play Ed. Or at least Terry. Leshar is a Terry as well. But when they're on Mai, it's like, okay, we're all kind of converging on the same thing. So many of the top Japanese players have a pocket Mai or fully switched to Mai as their main, like Moke, drop Chun-Li. But it didn't quite pay off, I guess, as much. I guess Leshar with Mai paid off. But for the other ones, you beat Moke's Mai, and Momochi, every time he played Mai, I don't think he won any notable games I could see with I might be wrong. There's a lot of games they had to play off stream, but it hasn't completely yielded the results on the international open bracket scale. But if you're looking at like Topanga League or whatever, half the people playing like any kind of footsie style viable character, all the Chun-Li mains, they're going to Mai, except for like a Goichi, who also made top 8 this weekend. So I'm not sure if they're going to stick with her in the next patch. Capcom's going to address that. I don't know.
I've always heard if you want something nerfed, you gotta play the thing you want nerfed. So maybe they're helping us out by all playing Mai because they really want Mai nerfed.
Maybe
some psychological like thing going on there, but it does work. I mean, if you hate something, you should play it.
That's true. I mean, maybe not forever. I hated Honda and I play Honda. I don't want to play Honda. It didn't prove anything to me. It proved exactly why I hated the character. But what I would say is I do think traditionally Capcom has paid infinitely more attention to the meta from Japan than anywhere else. Like there's a clear attention paid to what's going on in the Japanese pro scene versus anywhere else. So if half the pros in Japan are picking up I do think it's probably on their radar. You know, they've already cashed in on the DLC at this point. You know, maybe they'll let it rock for a little while longer. Maybe it won't be season 3, but it'll be like a season 3.5. Who knows if they manage to get more than one update a year, which is not likely at this rate. But we'll see how that goes. Another surprising result I feel like here was Itabashi Zangief. He's getting kind of consistent. I think he just got 9th at EVA Japan, or was that a top 8? But right after that, second place grand finals appearance. He got 9th at EVA Japan, losing to Leshar. Oh, he lost to Leshar at EVA Japan also, and then second at Combo Breaker. I feel like that's a pretty. I don't know. I wouldn't expect that offhand. I wouldn't have called Itabashi Zangief in grand finals, but he's 70 million. How old is he now? He's getting up there. He's at least 43. Still cracking grand finals at CPT premieres with Zangief.
He plays really good at American events. Like even last year he got grands at ECT. He was actually in grands in Virtual Fighter at Combo Breaker as well. And I don't know. It's something what he does. He likes American soil.
That's true. I mean, I ECT was decently stacked, and especially towards the top 8, there was some major international representation. But like, you just can't compare. That's why I didn't bring it up at first, because like, yeah, he won ECT 2024, but like the amount of killers at Combo Breaker, like once you add the point system, it just exponentially increases the difficulty of winning any of these events, because like you're running into those potential top 8 matches in round 2 right away, right? You just got to do like 5 times the amount of work to win the events as compared to the pre-point season, because people just weren't traveling, you know, the economic reasons and lack of incentive. And also, of course, esports World Cup qualification. There's a lot more factors that incentivize the players to travel, which is why we also see, you know, players like Dual Kevin back in the mix. So shout out to Dual Kevin. He had a sponsor lined up and then turned them down, and he actually had a video put out on his YouTube channel, which is the craziest part about all this. He posted a video on YouTube, like an actual edited video with a nice thumbnail and title. So he's trying to fire on all cylinders now, explaining that he was getting lowballed offers for being picked up as a player for a potential candidate for Esports World Cup and CPT. So he had an announcement that he was sponsored with a whole AI generated graphic for some Chinese team, I believe, or maybe it was a Saudi Arabian team. I can't quite recall. They're a team I never heard of before. It was kind of a strange thing. But then immediately after, he said, "Hey guys, I'm not sponsored by these guys." Like he like cleaned himself off from that, went to Combo Breaker, makes top 8 winners, ends up in a top 3 finish again, which is, like I mentioned before, he got top 3 last year, but that was an NA regional last year. Still very hard tournament, but like, you know, it was an NA regional. Now it's an international premiere, top 3 again. The consistency is unreal. So shout out to Dual Kevin. But this time, instead of the story last year where he kept getting all these top 3, top 2 finishes, and he didn't qualify until the very, very end through the Midwest World Warrior program, he's awarded with points. So he's on the CPT leaderboard now. And if he does another deep run like that, where he places really far in like a top 2, top 3 position, he's probably a shoo-in to qualify via points. So he's 4th on the leaderboard right now with 250 points. And there's still 6 more events to go. So hopefully we don't have another story like that last year where like the dual Kevins ending walkers super consistent but didn't make it in. So shout out to dual Kevin. I don't know, he was playing great.
I mean, he also got into Esports World Cup now because Leshar was already qualified, so he's even getting more, stuff now than he was last year for doing good at events. So shout out to Kevin. He's super consistent. One of the few consistent players you actually see in Street Fighter 6. I feel like if there's an international event, he's probably a shoo-in for top 8 or definitely a very deep run.
Yeah, definitely. I like that the format is rewarding him a little bit here. I mean, it's a matter of time also, I think, before he finally has like the big win as well. That's the only thing that's eluded him, I think, in Street Fighter 6. He's been so consistent across so many events, even NA regionals, right? Like, what was it, Frosty Fostings? He ends up getting second to Punk. Like, he's always like just right there. I think it's just a matter of time before he gets the big one. But yeah, I mean, great event overall. Was there any other matches or any other showings that you thought were cool? We had the Ryu mirror with Blaz and Ending Walker. Bonchan still in top 8. We got all the old Japanese dudes still kicking ass. Anything you want to touch on?
I think overall the tournament was good. There was one, the overheating PS5. I kind of got screwed. I got to throw myself in there because the me versus Goichi match that happened on stream. Obviously, my controller disconnected, but it wasn't my fault. It was actually it happened to me once off stream as well, but it was in the middle of a super, so it was gonna kill anyway, so it didn't really matter. But it does kind of suck because I think if I were to beat Goichi, and then I think if I went on to beat Blaz after, because I think I would have had to play Blaz after, I think I would have had a good chance to get into the Esports World Cup. But stuff like it's different for me because for me to get to combo break, it takes 2 hours, so it's not that serious. But obviously, I spent money to travel to combo breaker and go to a tournament like that, and then to lose like that, it's come on. Obviously, I've gotten some wins because overheating PS5s for my opponent, right? But it sucks to lose like that, and there's no right path to kind of say how to fix it. I was talking to some of the TOs and the people there, but they were telling me that pad players like myself should start playing on Bluetooth mode. Keep plugging your controller, connect your controller to the PS5, but instead of having to use your USB always be connected, you just take it out. You obviously can't overheat anymore because you're playing via Bluetooth, and then you don't have to worry about that. But it'll be unfortunate for stick and hitbox players because you got to stay plugged in unless they have a wireless version.
So I didn't understand the mechanics of that. So to give a little bit of context as well, and some credit to Combo Breaker, I'm one of PS5's biggest haters, but I will say the casual setups and every setup I played on, except for the stream setup, which I played on stream against Goichi, he washed me. He was going to wash me no matter what, so it's not a cap. I do feel like it was a little bit laggier on stream, and I feel like that's always a consistent issue. When you go from the off-stream setup to the stream setup, there's always at least a frame or two. It's always laggier when you go to stream. I think it's just a reality of usually the technical setup for how things are run. But there, to be fair, there's a small chance it could just be a psychological response to the lights. Who knows? But the casual setups were very good. The off-stream tournament setups were very good. Some of the best PS5 setups I played on. And they were taking a lot of care to power cycle them, turn them off, rotate the consoles, swap them out, and just let them cool off for a bit. So they had that going on constantly because it's a 24/7 venue. So they put a lot of effort into that. So I do want to give big props to Combo Breaker for managing that. But there were several PS5 disconnects, like you mentioned, and even just a couple weeks ago, everyone's clowning on Punk because it happened to him at EVO Japan for City of the Wolves. And then I think it happened to someone else during the Street Fighter tournament as well. So I wasn't aware. I guess what you're saying is that the big part of the overheat disconnect is not the console itself having issues, but some kind of a connection with the controller, like the literal physical connection with the USB port, and connecting wirelessly will prevent the disconnect. That seems to be what they're implying.
Yeah, I think it's because, your controller wouldn't be able to disconnect if I'm playing via Bluetooth. There's no, my USB. The problem is, I think, the way the PS5 works is all the heat's in the back and both players plug in their USBs into the back. But if you're playing wirelessly, then I can't disconnect because, there's nothing there. But for like stick and hitbox player, you know, there's no wireless hitbox. At least I don't think so.
Right.
But
that makes sense. I mean, I was wondering if it was just like an actual software issue, but that makes sense to me. That's literally a physical connection issue because the exhaust of all the PS5 does just shoot out the back like a fucking rocket engine trying to take that PS5 and launch it to the moon. And that's why all the USB ports literally melt into your controllers, the plastic connection ports that are like guiding your USB into the port. It actually breaks off into people's cables, and you have to fish it out with some tweezers at a later point, which has happened many times at these events. Happened to my opponent sitting down next to me, causing delays. I've been lucky so far. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that it's literally just frying the connection physically somehow with the heat going on. So I guess, yeah, play wireless if you can. Crazy. The things you have to do.
I think the problem with that is like, back in the PS4 times, somebody would hit the PlayStation button and then like the screen turns on and it's like, oh, you're trying to connect. And then, who hit the home button or who hit the PlayStation button?
Yeah, you start looking at the crowd. We start like trying to detect based on who was just there. Who was the last pad player playing on this setup? They start scouring the crowd and you see someone like,
But yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna have to start doing that at CEO because like I wouldn't want that to happen to me again.
Right.
The things you got to do.
PS5, baby. Like I mentioned before on this podcast, Switch 2. Everyone was clowning on me. You were clowning on me. The comments were clowning on me. Switch 2 might be the play. Who knows? Who freaking knows, dude? I mean, obviously, I would prefer PC. I get the logistics problems. I get it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But like, PS5 is clearly causing so many problems beyond just the inherent latency of it. Because like I said, I think in optimal conditions, it's not that bad. I don't think it's that bad in optimal conditions. It's just so hard to achieve optimal conditions based on all the requirements, the settings to do between the console, HDMI 2.0, the type of monitor, then the overheating, power cycling, disconnects, things melting. It's just like too many variables that add up to sometimes ruin someone's day at a tournament. But we'll see where that goes. But shout outs again to Comment Breaker. I think all things considered, they did an amazing job. I had a great time. It was super cool to see everybody. A lot of people commented actually about this podcast. I was surprised to hear. I guess you guys have been missing out on it. So I appreciate all you guys coming up and saying hello to myself and iDom. Pleasure to meet you all. So yeah, check out Comment Breaker if you haven't. Very good event. But let's go ahead and move on to the next thing to get into. Elena coming out at the time of this recording in about 6 days, I believe. So she's coming out with the Season 3 balance patch. However, many changes that may or may not contain. She looks pretty interesting. I am cautiously optimistic about her because it seems like what they're highlighting with Elena is a unique approach to the game. So at first, I thought she'd be a bit more of an install character and the fireballs wouldn't be as spammable as they are. But Elena, her Link's Whirl, I believe it's called Link's Song and Link's Whirl, her command dash, the roll, seems to be a core part of her gameplay to deal with projectiles. So she can roll through projectiles, and then she has different enders from that, an overhead, a launcher, just a rather like a mid strike, and then she has an enhanced roll where she goes even further, which leads to plus frames, high-low mix with the overhead. You can do empty roll to low, and then she has a bunch of command overheads as well. And it seems to me they're basing her game design around a lot of like drive rush less, like no drive rush required, standard overhead high-low mix, and then using the roll, which can also be canceled out of her, what is it, the Rhino Horn or the Link's Tail, her spin kick on the ground. You can cancel into the roll out of that, so either go for damage, finish the combo, or go for high-low mix, or like stop short bait reversals. It seems like they gave a lot of unique moves and mechanics to her that make her not just like Shoto, low forward drive rush overhead. Like, I see a less reliance on the drive system and her gameplay, which I think is refreshing for me personally. So I don't know. What are your first impressions of her so far, Adam?
I think so. I watched a lot of the Elena stuff. I think she looks really cool, very interesting character. Like the whole stance thing behind the teleport. I mean, not the teleport. Wow. Behind the like Link's Tail, I think the move is called, where you just spin through. I'm curious if like how good that will be against projectile, because a lot of the moves, Manon spin, DJ sway, aren't really the best anti-projectile moves, but her anti-projectile actually looks really strong. So I'm curious if she'll be able to stop like, the obvious, fireball drive rush strategy. Her not having I've seen that she does not also have low forward drive rush, which is usually pretty bad for most characters.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how she'll be able to open people up. Like obviously the overhead and the low off of her Link's tail will be strong and like kind of the ways to open people up. But even then, parry's in the game, so depending on how the changes to parry with the whole imperfect parry thing, it actually is, will kind of dictate whether she'll be strong or not. Because parry beats overhead and low mix-ups. There's no guessing there,
right?
In my opinion,
she definitely has the ability to stop short and throw, though. Do you think that'll have potential? She can empty roll into throw.
Maybe I don't know. I think a lot of the stuff we're gonna have to see, because the stop short will obviously be strong, but I would assume there will be like a bit of recovery on the stop short, and then whether or not the player will be able to react to, oh, she's going for a low, or oh, she's going for an overhead, will kind of dictate whether she'll be good or bad.
Yeah, the overhead will be the reactable part, right? Because the way the low would work is you empty roll into a crouching light kick, right? That's the low part. There's no low special ender that has a startup that looks like the overhead. So it's going to be just kind of overloading your mental stack. And then I think the mix is you're scared to parry because she could just roll into throw. Like, you can't be too preemptive. But I guess if you time your parries really well, you can just like probably fuzzy parry timing on the overhead, which might kill mix. You're right. But you brought up the imperfect parry. So if you guys weren't aware, as part of the demos with Elena, there were some access to some Japanese media outlets, and I forget the exact event it was going on, but there was a limited access granted to Elena. So we saw some footage of like level 7 CPUs, because they never allow level 8. The max level of the CPU is they had to save the sauce and the secrets for the release, but they allowed level 7 CPU mirror matches, so people were recording footage of that, which is pretty decent, to be honest. They show off a decent amount of how the character plays. The CPUs have advanced from back in the days, and part of the changes people were going nuts over was like, why do I see perfect parry projectile flash, the really instantaneous flash without the slowdown, on non-projectiles, on regular hits and special moves? So there's a lot of gas leak analysis to figure out what was going on. The consensus is, it seems that in order to get a perfect parry slowdown screen freeze like we're used to on a normal strike, you are required to also be blocking in the direction you would normally, which is to say, if they go for a low and you hold back and press parry, even if you time it within 2 frames of perfect parry timing, you'll just get the quick flash, right? Which means you won't get that slowdown. You won't get to be like, oh, what punish should I do here? You have a whole like 10 seconds to think about what you want to do next. You have to maybe buffer a light behind your parry, OS it, something to interrupt. And I'm not even sure if it's going to be interruptible if they have a chain. I had to theory craft that. I think it would be. You get the frame advantage, but it's going to be hard, right? And you might miss your opportunity, and you might get counter hit if you're late, if you're chaining lights, for example. So I think it makes perfect parry against lights weaker. And same idea with like a safe jump with a cross up. If you hold back and try to perfect parry a jump in, and then went for a cross up, and you didn't switch your block, you'll get the perfect parry flash, the projectile saw quick perfect parry, but you won't get the screen freeze. So if they land on the wrong side and you don't OS a button behind it, like perfect parry to button, and interrupt them, you might get crossed up, right? So there's a potential for, even if you land these perfect parries, if you get an imperfect parry, you could maybe still take advantage of it, but it takes more awareness from the person using perfect parry. So I think it's a change in the right direction. I don't know how effective it will be if people just start OSing, like they just do parry with jab behind it every time. It could reduce the reward, because that means you can't opt for a higher damaging punish or a better meter efficient punish. You have to kind of cut your reward down, but it makes parry a little less mindless, which I do think it's a little mindless still. They've been trying to chip away at it season by season. It's still a little mindless to me.
Yeah, it definitely feels a bit gimmicky. I do like the change, but like you said, I feel like everyone's gonna kind of OS parry, and it's kind of the scary thing, because like certain moves are, I assume, would still be very easy to punish, whether or not you're reacting or not. Because if somebody does hypothetically knockdown and does like a drive rush overhead with Luke, and I'm pretty sure if you still block low and get the imperfect parry, you'll probably react fast enough to Luke recovering from the overhead. So I'm very concerned with that. I do think it will stop the perfect parries by accident. There was a versus Momochi. I think I did like whiff sweep and I tap parry and I got a perfect parry. And like that, those are the kind of parries that shouldn't happen, because that was 1,000% an accident. I'm not even gonna try to outplay my own skill and say I did that on purpose. But those are the things I think the game would be better off without.
Yeah, I think it just chips away a little bit of the volatility. And it's funny, like, that was one of the big changes from Season 1. If people don't remember, going into Season 2, they nerfed parry by adding an increased amount of recovery on whiff, so you're stuck in the mud for longer. When you're stuck in parry recovery, you can block. You have to block high-low, so if someone goes for an overhead, they can clonk you in the head. If you're holding down back, you lose that high-low protection. But you can't move. But you also have an extended hurt box for throws, so it's easier to walk up and throw. So if someone just tries to fish for a parry like in neutral, guessing your button timing, it's way easier to walk in range and throw their extended hurt box from further away. But that didn't stop it. People were still tapping parry randomly. I still tap parry randomly because it's too freaking good. Like, if you just randomly get a perfect parry, you swing momentum in your direction. And I think, me personally, I find that to be too momentum swinging on guesses that feel a little mindless, because like you're still kind of just tapping parry when people are pressuring you, etc. There's still a lot of times where you're just kind of like, I'm gonna keep pressing parry what I think your attack timings are, and just maybe it'll randomly perfect parry and I win, right? That still exists for sure in this current meta. So I think this is definitely another step to chip away at that. But to me, it also comes back to like, why put parry in the game to begin with? if you're gonna have to keep nerfing it over and over, maybe third strike players, they're gonna come after my head here, but like, parry is it has to exist in such a fine balance. It's either, to me, it's like an all or nothing mechanic. Third strike, you're all in, baby. Like, you are the whole game flow is about parry everything. There's skill expression with it, and you got to guess high low with it, and your jump ins are never guaranteed. Like, that's the game. Right? Street Fighter 6 with parry, I feel like it's in an in-between state, and they're like, oh, maybe we made parry a little too good, but like, no matter what, if a parry is in the game, it's going to be kind of too good. Like, I don't know, I just feel like it's going to be good no matter what. So I'm not sure what the end goal will be here.
It's all the third strike, all the people on Fightcade loving parry, and it's also the people who play like Souls games who have parry. I don't know, parry for non-fighting game players is probably extremely exciting, and people love seeing parry, but I think fighting game players hate parry. I will say, playing games like Dark Souls or Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, parry's fucking sick. Whenever I'm playing against when I'm playing games like that, parry's hype. When I play a fighting game, oh my god, I am parry's biggest hater. So
well, in those games, if you're in Dark Souls, if you whiff a parry, you can just die. It's a move with recovery that you can't block after. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same thing. In Street Fighter, if you whiff a parry, you can block after. To me, if you're gonna make it like that, the parry needs to be you do it, you whiff your arm like you're a Dark Souls whiffing your shield, and then someone goes, oh, you just did that? Oh, boom. And they hit you with the world's strongest combo. Like, then I would be like, damn, you parried right there? Like, you really risked it all. The way it stands right now, I'm like, when I'm using parry, I'm not like, oh, cool. Like, oh, I'm so good, I got a parry. I'm like, oh, nice, a parry randomly. I think for players for people who listen to this who don't understand, you're literally just mashing parry while people are attacking you. For them to counter that, they have to stop attacking you entirely and go for a throw, which does happen. But if you were just every once in a while like, I'm just going to keep mashing parry, you might just randomly get rewarded with a win. It doesn't feel necessarily like I practiced for this, I'm so good. It's the new crouch tech from Street Fighter 4, but better in some ways and worse in others. But that's how I feel. So I do think this is a step in the right direction. I don't want people perfect parrying my cross ups when I do a good jump in neutral. I think parry anti-air is so scrubby. I mean, you do it because it's part of the game, but man, that is one of my biggest pet peeves about Street Fighter 6. So now if I do an ambiguous cross up, at least you got to kind of guess the angle correctly. You got to think a little bit more. So I think that's good. So the other change they showed off was the throw tech giving drive gauge back. So the answer to throw loops is if you tech the throw second, you get a bar of drive gauge. Yay, nay? What are we thinking?
I like that they did something, but I don't think this is going to matter at all. I do like the parry change, but the throw change is very, very weird to me. I don't think it's going to matter at all.
I was very not excited by that change. I wasn't displeased, but I wasn't moved.
I'm glad they did something.
Well, that you say something. If anything, that made me a little bit like, oh no, we have throw loops. You know what I mean? Like that was to me the soft confirmation that throw loops still exist. So it wasn't exciting to me. It was more sad.
Somebody did like a slowdown of like when Elena was fighting Akuma, and that showed me that throw loops are still in the game because Akuma's throw knockdown they said was exactly the same as it is now. So there is throw loops. You know, it's hard to burst your bubble. I kind of like killed a little hope that throw loops were gone, but it's still there. But the throw change to me is still weird because there's a lot of moves in the game like Ryu's Hashigeki where it's like Ryu's gonna string you up with like, I don't know, EX Hashigeki, button, light Hashigeki. Then you're gonna try to throw Ryu. Then he's gonna get more meter to do more Hashigekis, and then it's like, okay, come on, Ryu's just gonna ship me to death at this point.
Yeah,
so.
You're saying if Ryu does the strings, it ends in a light Hashigeki, which is -3, not punishable. You try to throw him on a strike throw mix to fight your way out of the corner. He techs defensively. I'm doing air quotes for the audio listeners. He's defensively teching because he extended his offense to the point of negative frames, but he gets a bar drive gauge back and still has you in the corner.
Yeah,
so I see the problem.
It's a cool change. I do think maybe it'll stop people from getting throw loop, but I don't know. I do think getting super meter is better, but that's kind of reinforcing my point with the game. They obviously want you to do more wake up supers because wake up super is exciting, I guess. That's what I'm thinking. But they want you to do more wake up super.
Why do you say that specifically?
You get SA meter if you tech a throw. So if you're getting throw loops, you get knocked down again. Now you have meter to do wake up super.
You're
Stop
saying
getting throw loops.
As part of the changes, they increase. You also get. I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, you get 25% SA meter for teching a throw.
Oh, I actually did not know that. Okay, that seems more valuable defensively.
They want you to do wake up super
because they want you to reversal super something, get out of it. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. But I do think the whole concept of like defensively teching a throw is like a dubious one because like the Ryu example you just mentioned, the way it's defined is whoever inputs throw second is the defender. But that's not really true. Like if you fuzzy throw someone on offense, you knock them down in the corner and you walk up, block for a few frames, then throw. That's like a fuzzy throw attempt because what you're doing is you're trying to bait the reversal, block the DP, but then still tech their throw if they mash throw and wake up, right? So you will get rewarded when you have them in the corner applying your offensive fuzzy action with a bar drive gauge and 25% meter for super. Like that's not really, it's hard to like to put into code who is on offense and defense. That's kind of a human has to kind of make that judgment, right? Like it's a very ambiguous concept. So doing it that way means that people on offense are definitely going to gain meter as well in a lot of scenarios and just maul harder. So and in some ways, I feel like that makes the game more volatile. Also, I think what is the other defensive option people use? If they take a throw, there's pushback. I gain a bar drive meter. I'm doing low forward drive rush, baby. I'm doing big button drive rush to like maybe hit them and win or build space and then get my turn started, right? So to me, it's also still another offensive change. Like you're giving them offensive resources to do offense. So I do think you'll see more drive gauge usage in that sense.
I was kind of thinking that with Ken, like if Ken checks a throw, you just gave him bar to do drive rush jab at me. Like at that point, you're giving Ken more like weapons to kind of use, but I hope it's a better. I hope there's more to that change because like I do like the messing with when changes like that. Like that has nothing to do with the drive system. That's just kind of like something they can kind of throw in. I think it would be better maybe, and I know people are gonna hate this. Maybe they just look at the life bar and whoever is losing gets the drive meter. I think that might be better.
You think so? I think at that point it's getting too in the weeds. I don't know. Because that's not really offense or defense, right? If you're making a comeback and then you're on offense in the corner and they tech your throw, you get more
the
meter.
drive meter. To make the comeback.
So you want a comeback mechanic?
It's not a comeback mechanic. It's just I think it's more. It would make more sense because like you said, we're not gonna know who's teching who's throw. Like Ryu might be on offense, but then
right,
he's getting the drive meter for teching.
But that's still definitely a comeback mechanic. Like, listen,
it's a comeback mechanic. No, it is a comeback mechanic.
I don't love the term comeback mechanic because I think that it oversimplifies a lot of mechanics. Like people calling X Factor comeback mechanic, it has comeback mechanics in it. Like it's scaling based on the characters alive in Marvel, or like Ultra is pretty much a comeback mechanic. V Trigger, it's not solely a comeback mechanic. There's like degrees of comeback mechanics, right? Like V Trigger, you can build it with V skill, so depending on the character, it might be a proactive mechanic. Right, so like it kind of varies. That's a comeback mechanic. if you have less health, which I'm not even totally against. This I don't really care that much, but I don't know about that change, man. But I agree with you that, or rather, I do think that Street Fighter 6 is such a house of cards that it's so hard to make changes. Now, obviously, they could just add pushback to the throws. Like they could just do that and force you to drive rush in to get throw loops. That one I don't know why they don't just do. All the people talking about tap parry with this whatever. I don't know, man. I don't think it's. They could just do that. But
I think if you have to drive rush the throw loop, the characters with DPs are broken, and then all the bad characters would just be terrible.
Well, could they adjust it? Maybe it would be hard to do universally, where you can drive rush block that much frame advantage.
But then you want to have the frame advantage to throw loop the person.
Yeah, you can drive. If you can drive rush block, you can drive rush throw. Drive rush block happens after the throw. You have to have enough frame. You have to have enough. You have to have more frame advantage to be able to drive rush block, right?
I guess at that point you would have to make everyone's drive rush kind of the same.
You'd have to very carefully balance the pushback, I think, or the knockdown.
Yeah.
You have to go character by character and balance their knockdown advantage on throw and pushback. Like you would have to. It would be a lot of work.
Because Manon's not going to reach the same area as DJ is going to reach, so
they got to make her throw knockdown like way either buff the drive rush or make her throw knockdown so that she can like drive rush all the way. I don't know. Yeah, because her drive rush, she just stops moving.
That's still kind of a weird thing. I do, this is kind of Omega cope. This is a lot of cope.
Okay.
But I do wish, and there's been no way to tell this, they give all these characters different health bar. I still stand by it. Everyone should not almost have the same life bar. I know like Geef has more health than everyone, but Rashid shouldn't have 10,000, the same as Ryu. Or Guile shouldn't have 10,000 like Manon. Manon should have 1050 or something. I don't know. Okay. I feel like all the health pool being the same is not good for the game. I can't think of a reason why they would do that.
Interesting. All right, we're kind of automatically segue into the next topic, which is what I usually try to avoid. Wishes for season 3. It sounds like this might be one of your wishes, but let's get if that's not the one, can we get one definitive wish that you would have for season 3 of Street Fighter 6 coming up next week? One wish for the change of the game. Could be balance, could be characters, could be quality of life features, which it seems that's what they're focused on right now. Costumes. What would your one wish be?
Did you see they just put up the versus screen thing? They have new versus screen pictures.
Anything besides making a damn costume. It's driving me insane. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Listen, all you people in the comments who get mad at me for like going hard on Capcom, you can't defend this anymore. They don't care. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is not a AAA supported title. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's just not. Whatever, you can give me all the objective proper reasons for why they're not supporting the game. They're not supporting the game to the extent I would expect for how successful it's been, and that's just a fact. Like it's crazy to me. But anyways,
I'll have you know, Akuma's in Monster Hunter, and my non-fighting game friends have been loving Akuma and Monster Hunter.
It's never in the game. It's all this crossover crap. They're just putting Street Fighter in anything. They're keeping the game the same. We're suffering from success here because I want the product to change, but it's been so I can't even fault Capcom. It's been so successful, especially in Japan culturally and just like taking off. It's like they could afford to rest on their laurels a little bit. I wish they wouldn't though. Anyways, besides Akuma and Monster Hunter, what is the one big wish you would have, iDom, for season 3?
Going before and it's still, I tell the story. My main thing was there was no throw. I wouldn't know throw loops, but obviously that's wrong. I remember at Capcom Cup, I actually went up to Nakayama and I asked him. I was like, are there throw loops in season 3? Like, this is the first thing I asked him. I was like, please, no throw loops in season 3. This makes the game so like, it feels bad to play against and it feels bad to do. Please take him out. And he just laughed at me. At that moment, I knew. I was like, it's still here. This is it. This is our fate. So throw loops are obviously staying. Now I don't even know. I feel like throw loops is kind of my main gripe and the thing I would really want out of the game. I wouldn't know how to fix it personally. But now I guess it's kind of the health thing. I guess making the characters feel a bit more different, even if it's just different health bar, will be better.
Okay, I mean, I could see the argument for that. Like, I'm thinking about like a Cammy. Traditionally, he's always had less health. Yeah. Like, usually the rushdown characters. Are you just trying to get Manon bulked up? Is that what it is? No reversal. So if you're eating throw loops, at least get an extra throw in there before you die.
Yeah, Manon had 10. Obviously, 1050 with 5 medals would be kind of obnoxious, but I do think she needs more life. I do think just one extra throw could be a make or break.
I kind of can see that argument. I never minded having different health values. I do think it kind of added some identity, and we still have that to a degree. Like Akuma has less health and Geef has more and Marissa has more, but it's definitely less than before. Street Fighter 5 had health values all over the place, and I think Street Fighter 4 did also. It's been a while since, so I mean, there was always different health values, and there still are, but for sure Street Fighter 5 had like characters that like 1000, 975, 950, 875, 1025, and then they bumped everybody up like 25 health at one point. You know what I mean? Like the health values, there's a list of it. There's like 7 categories you got to remember, and I do believe that it does help give another variable to tweak to adjust the characters to have a more unique identity and tweak balance in ways that are impactful without altering the characters too much. Even
having different stun values in Street Fighter 4 and 5, you know, adjust the stun value. Oh man, you get hit twice. Oh, now you're stunned. You can't really do that in 6 because it's like, what do you do? We get stunned. We all get stunned the same way.
Punish counters doing different amounts, drive gauge on block different. I wouldn't mind them getting weird with it. Yeah, at this point, I wouldn't mind them saying like, yeah, Akuma, crank up something on him and then make it so that when he blocks, his drive gauge just like it's shattered.
Oh yeah, I guess you could do something like that. But then Akuma players would complain. Like if you're Akuma and you block a heavy, you take like a bar and a half of drive meter or something.
Yeah, I think we're sacrificing like unique identity for like some of this homogenization for balance reasons. But I think that would be kind of cool. That's kind of one thing I'm thinking about. Like make a character without drive rush, like one character, and make him just like a giant from Tatsunoko versus Capcom. You know, like bring Abigail back, give him no drive rush, and just make him like beastly in some other area. And then the opposite, make a character have like 5 extra drive bars. They drive rush all over the place, but if they block anything, it shatters down real quick, right? Like I think that could be cool if they got funny with it. They probably aren't though, and probably for good reason. I mean, I'm just thinking about silly stuff here. But my one wish then for stuff that could actually be in the game, and this is not unique. Everyone's heard this. People have been talking about it nonstop. I am a big proponent of the punish counter plus hurtbox extension on raw drive rush, because I do still feel like the drive rush minigame of when someone drive rushes at 3/4 screen and then you don't quite know what button they're going to press at what time, it becomes a rather unsatisfying mix-up, right? You can press your check button a little bit too early, and then you whiff on them, and then they hit you with the fat punish counter in return, and you die. You can press it too late because you're trying to wait for them to get into range, and what if they press the button early in that sense? Yes, there is like a mix there, but it's one that doesn't feel earned, and it also feels rather volatile on both ends. Like to me, it's not I don't really like the mind game of like, oh, we're in neutral 3-4 screen, you turn green, we're both guessing in a high stakes situation, which is actually in the favor, I would argue, of the person doing the drive rush, right? I don't like that much. There's a time and place for raw drive rush for sure, but I think that should be earned, sort of like overloading someone's mental stack. It shouldn't work in situations where you know it's coming. It should be much easier to check when you know it's coming, especially from a distance. They do drive rush jab up close, like, yeah, like, you know, unless you're like on point, you're going to get hit, that's fine. So if they had an extension of the hurt box on maybe flat across the board, every normal you press out of drive rush, there's a hurt box that extends forward before the active frames and it's punish counter, I think that would be a great change. When Ryu does drive rush heavy punch or like Ken or whatever from full screen and I know it's coming and I still get clonked because my button just barely whiffs, or like Zangief, for example, with his misleading animation, he does drive rush stay in medium. It's like, dude, I know what you're doing, but it's just a little bit too finicky to check consistently. So I think that would be a nice change to at least make it so that when raw drive rush occurs, you'd be like, okay, like you got me, right? Like I'm focused on other areas in the neutral. You earn this pressure. Good use of meter. Well done. Rather than it being like, wow, my crouching medium barely whiffed because I pressed it a frame too soon, trying to react to your full screen dash.
I think it's funny you're saying that, but because like I said, yesterday I did it. I was doing a charity stream and I was playing Street Fighter 5. Bro, when I was playing 5, it really makes you like, it was making me think about all the stuff with 6 in a sense that like all this stuff is in the game because people wouldn't do anything. When I was playing 5 and people were just dashing at me and I was like, why did you dash at me? There's nothing for me to be scared of. Right. It's like, that's why drive rush is in this game. So I do agree with that change, but at the same time, I think they're just scared of that happening again.
That's true. I mean, a criticism of Street Fighter V would be, especially at higher level towards the end, it was like a solved game with something people were throwing around. I mean, you could still overload people's mental stack and secure dashes and pressure here and there. But for the most part, like if you're holding down the nooch and someone tries to sneak in a dash, you check it.
Yeah,
and then you're just and then you if you play superior footsies at that moment, like you're probably gonna win. And that was definitely apparent towards the end game when they kept nerfing the V trigger at the activations and all that. They were chipping away at all the ways to kind of rob people in that game, and then it became a real footsie game actually at the end, which I really liked. I enjoyed that, man. So I see the criticism though, that for sure.
Looking back, it's just like I love 5, but at the same time I know why they made 6 like that. But you know, not every game could actually live up to the best fighting game, Marvel 3. But you know, all these games are trying to get close enough.
It always ends in Marvel 3. Speaking of, man, we got some money matches coming up. What was the? I mean, I think I was there in person, but with the 2 brain cells I had functioning at like 4 a.m. at that time, I couldn't quite pick up what's going down. But you got some more high stakes money matches coming up in Marvel.
Okay. K-Brad challenged me because he said it was disrespectful. You know, it was kind of like Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, me beating Justin Wong in Marvel 3. So he was like, he said Justin Wong kind of disrespected me. He was like, Justin was like, he's just going to beat me free. So he said he's going to practice and kind of redeem Justin Wong for letting me beat him. So I don't understand. I feel like I'm going to beat K-Brad too. I don't get it.
So what was the term? So you played Justin Wong last CEO, I believe, in 1st to 15 Marvel 3 for 5K. Am I correct?
No, it was 1K with Justin.
Okay, and you won that one. It was close, pretty close set towards the end, but you won that. And now K-Brad's, what are his terms?
1st to 15 for 5K, which is crazy. But, you know, I'm that confident. I'm confident in my Marvel 3 play. Marvel brings out the degeneracy in everyone, because these money matches are absurd, but you know, I'm a Marvel player. Of course I'm gonna throw away money, especially on a degenerate game like that. But I'm gonna be K-Brad.
You're not scared of the Trish?
No, Trish. I'm scared of Virgil. Virgil's the only good character on that team.
Wait, he has Dante. Dante's decent.
Dante is not. I play Dante. My Dante's better than K-Brad.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I'm scared of Virgil. I'm scared of everyone's Virgil. But
right.
I'm gonna win. I'm not scared of Trish. I'm not scared of Dante.
When is this supposed to take place?
Evo.
Evo. Okay, not CEO is too soon. I guess it was decided. There was some logic at this point after the bar closed at like 3 a.m. So not CEO at Evo. Okay, are you gonna practice up for that, or what are you doing?
I was actually practicing a lot for Justin, but I was like, I'm not gonna lose to Justin. Come on, Justin's a dad. I wasn't gonna lose to Justin, so I'm gonna practice for K-Brad as well. But I still think the Justin set will probably be closer than the K-Brad set because Wolverine beats my team. K-Brad's team actually doesn't beat none of my characters.
Wait, who you do? Dormammu, Strange, Dante. What is your team?
Dante Dormammu, Strange.
You do Dante on point?
Yeah. It's the only way to play Dante in that game because Dante sucks every other position, but his assist is broken.
I guess, yeah. I'm thinking Zero May Cry. It's the only time you really see Dante for his assist, not on points. Yeah, I mean, you can do it, but K-Brad wasn't bad. He's not. And he plays some Marvel, man. Like I know he loves that game. He plays that all the time.
Me and K-Brad have played multiple times in tournament, and I've beaten K-Brad every single time we played a Marvel 3 in tournament.
Okay, like a wash or what? What's up?
It's always been a wash. I feel like I played K-Brad maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 times in Marvel 3, and every time we played, I've beaten him.
Then what's he doing? What's he doing?
I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. You know, it's for the love of the game. I respect it. It's for the love of the game. Marvel player, we love that game, and we'll never bash that game. So you gotta stand on business.
I think he's just trying to defend Justin here. The old guard here getting old. iDom coming in here. Voice. Yeah, Street Fighter 5 player beating Justin in Marvel. K-Brad's like, I can't be having that. I can see his the pride in his era being attacked there. Well, we'll look for that at Evo. I'll definitely be looking forward to that. But what do you think going into Evo? You think you're also going to have a new character, new strategies, and any final predictions for what's coming up for Street Fighter 6 for you? Coming next week, will everything change? New era for iDom?
I will probably still be playing Manon. I'm excited to play my Mario Kart. I know that comes out the same day. I get Mario Kart 9 comes out when Street Fighter 6 update comes out. So
you're playing the wrong game. What are you gonna stream on the day Street Fighter 6 Season 3 comes out? What are you streaming? Mario Kart or Street Fighter?
You know, I'll check out the patch. I'll see what's going down. But you know, depending on what actually happens, you know, Mario Kart's a new game. Mario Kart is 1,000% a new game. So, and I spent a lot of money on that Switch too.
Is it a new game?
Street Fighter 6 we've been playing for what, 3 years now? Mario Kart World is entirely
it's been 2 years, okay? I know it feels like longer because they refuse to update the game, but it's been 2 years. And only a handful of DLC characters later.
The last time we got a Mario Kart game was 2014.
People loved Mario Kart 8, man. I don't know what to say.
Exactly.
That's
one of my favorite games.
Stood the test of time. It would not die. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even consider that the actual Switch 2 is coming out that day. You pre-ordered it? Is it still possible to get? Am I even... do the tariffs allow me to even get a Switch 2? I haven't even thought about it.
So when the pre-order went live, me and my friends had like our phones, computer, everything kind of set up to try to pre-order as many Switch 2s as possible. We got some for ourselves. We got a few. We all got one for each other. That's what we did for when PlayStation 5 first came out. But our friend worked at Best Buy, so he kind of snagged us a few. So
this is the New York special. You guys are always, because New York actually has, besides Best Buy having the hookup there, has mom and pop stores. If you want to break the street date on any game, you go to New York, man. New York, it's the New York special is having every game a month before release and somehow grinding the game out and getting the head start. It's crazy.
Yeah, we had Street Fighter 5 like 2-3 weeks before it came out.
Don't say we. Some affiliated individuals in the nearby surrounding areas had Street Fighter 5 before release date. Not we, not you, iDom, right?
Oh no, I wouldn't.
Allegedly, you heard of some suspect individuals who had Street Fighter 5 early, right?
Yeah, I would never play Street Fighter 5 early, but I would never play any game early because I respect the release dates. But
we're there are some law-abiding citizens here on Trash Talk.
Yeah, Street Fighter 5, I remember we got early. Marvel Infinite, another game we all got early. Not Street Fighter 6, surprisingly. I actually don't think Street Fighter 6 broke Street Day. But there's not a lot of mom and pop shops around anymore.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, Fatal Fury, actually. It was actually early as well.
New York is a magical place. Well, with that, I think we covered all the topics. It was good to be back on this. iDom, thanks for joining me once again. Do you have any wise words for the people going into the next week with Season 3, Elena coming out, and Mario Kart 9 hitting the streets for everybody?
Just remember to have fun, and if you're a Geef player, I hope Geef gets nerfed and then you uninstall the game.
Facts. There we go. A nice positive note for everybody to leave off on and enjoy. All right, that wraps up this episode of Extra Trashy. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace, everybody.